G'day everyone. In this video we're going to be working on this bad boy. I've got some new front springs, some new upper control arms and some new steering arms. So United Speed Shop upper control arms, same as what I got on the Ute. I didn't buy the lower ones because I cheaped out. And the A9X steering arms, which are the same as these ones also. I've got a torch. I've got a torch. A bit oily under here. So you can see that bolt in there. That's to limit the front suspension travel because the upper ball joints bind. So essentially I'm changing the upper control arms to try and get my suspension travel back for the no prep racing. Even at the drag strip it's going to help with this car because that's as much as the front end lifts. It's not much. You can come up probably another 2 inches from that, which will help a lot at power cruise for the racing and also at the drag strip for bad tracks. So I'm going to get that fixed. Alright guys, so I started on doing the front suspension, and what I was doing is replacing the old upper control arms. They're McDonald brothers upper control arms, so I'm replacing those with some United Speed Shop upper control arms. Mind my voice also, I got a cold. So the main difference I wanted to go to the United arms is, as you can see, they've offset the ball joint to add more caster on the HQs. So that's the main reason. I had an issue with these McDonald brothers arms from the beginning. Just the ball joint, it binded for some reason. I have no idea why, but the ball joint binded and it restricted the travel. So I had to put a travel limiter, which is just a bolt. I just had that in there, and that sat. Let me just turn this. So that pretty much sat up there to restrict the travel of the suspension, and that was because the upper ball joint binded. So when the front end lifted up, the front ball joint binded that bad you couldn't steer it at all. So I don't know why they were like that, if I just got like a bad batch or what, I don't know, but I had to change them out. So, and what I also did, the reason I liked these McDonald brothers arms originally, because they have adjusters here, so I wanted to try and adjust more camber and more caster in the arms, but I found when you adjust them wonky as well, it kind of pulls on these bushes and kind of wants to destroy them, because it's kind of essentially putting that rose joint on an angle and it doesn't like it too much. So I've got a little angle gauge over here, and I've just been doing like a basic measurement of the caster, which is essentially the line going from the top ball joint to the lower ball joint. The more caster you got, the more likely the car is to self-steer rather than trying to fight the wheel. Like for example, when you're Tokyo drifting around a bend and then you let go of the wheels are more likely to follow the road rather than having to try and manhandle the damn steering wheel. So I just measured up what I had on the car originally with those arms and the way I had it set up, and it was I think it was like 1 degree, 0.5 of caster, which is next to 0. And with this United arm, it's got 5 degrees of caster, but I've also shimmed it like that, as you can see. So I've added an extra 2 shims in the back to add that little bit extra. But overall, just doing that, and the arm itself, it now has 5 degrees of caster, which is a lot more than it originally had. So I'm going to run it like that. The other thing I'm doing is changing the the front springs. This is what I originally had in the car. They were just the low king springs. Like king springs have super low, low, standard height. These are just the low, and they were originally way too low. And I bought this ring. It's like a northern thing. Set it on top to try and get the front of the car higher. Set at a good ride height like that, but swapping them out for these are standard height V8 springs, and you can see that they're a fair bit taller there. That's the part number. So I'm going to put the Lavelle springs, these ones are. So I'm going to put those in. I think they're just going to work better, and I'm hoping that it'll sit at a good ride height as well. Worst case, if it doesn't, I can get the grinder out, but they should be okay, I'm hoping. And that should help a lot with the front end lifting too, for no prep racing and that sort of stuff. And this is the front shock that I run. It's an AFCO. It's been hitting down here, so I have to cut the hole out a bit bigger in the lower control arm where it sits. The part number is right there, 3840F/BNC, and they're just comes with a plate that you weld on the bottom of the lower control arm, which I've already welded on there, and yeah, they fit straight in. Double adjustable. Yeah, so I'm adjusting this up and down, and just checking the how much the toe in the bump steer, like how much the wheels are towing in and out, up and down the suspension travel. So, and then I'm going to put on the torana steering arms on there, and I bought some A9X torana steering arms, same as I did with the Ute, same sort of setup. So they should have a lot better geometry than the arms I've got on here now. So I'm going to swap them over, and yeah, we'll see how it all pans out, but that's where I'm up to so far. Alright, there's no better way to explain the bump steer than showing you with a video. So this is the A9X steering arm. It's not perfect, but just have a look at how much the wheel toes in now. There, to there. And then I'll pause the video and I'll go to the other side. Okay, this side just has the standard LX LH steering arm in it still. Haven't changed it yet. Watch how much this one toes in. That's it. So that's the A9X steering arm. Go to this side, and that is the LH/LX, just factory standard steering arms. Essentially, it's just brought it down a little bit, not much, and that's made the bump steer a lot better, which it has. But ideally, it would be good to have that down probably another centimetre, and it'd probably be perfect, but I can't really do that, so I'm just gonna have to make do with it. We'll probably try to get a Heim joint, maybe screw it on there, something like that, but for now I'll leave it at that. It's not too bad, and that's over the full length of travel. So essentially what it's doing is it's towing out, so as the front end lifts up like this, the wheels toe out. The front end comes up and then the wheels toe out, and then the front end comes down, they come back in. Perfect bump steer, they'll just stay dead straight, whole suspension travel. So that'll do for now. It's an improvement at least. An improvement is better than nothing. I'm going to put the front springs in now and put the other 8-on-X steering arm on the other side. I'll have to modify the bump stops again too, which I'll do up on the hoist at a later date, but for now I just want to get the front end done and yeah, move on. So currently I've got to drill out, this is the 8-on-X steering arm, the Harrop one. I've got to drill the end out. I'm currently doing that on the pedestal drill. I'll put a bigger bolt in the back in the past, so I'm drilling the hole a bit bigger than factory. Put my little camera here so you can have a look at it. Made it halfway. I'm gonna have to sharpen the drill bit on the grinder. I was hoping it was gonna do it. I don't always get this right, but nice tip. It's the sides of the bit that's blunt, it's getting jammed in the sides. Bloody hell, I'm halfway. I might have to go from the other side. Alright. Pretty much got it. I'm just going to use the die grinder to clean it up. Covered the bottom of the GoPro magnet in metal shavings. It's not cool. I'll try and get as many of them as I can off. So if I put it on my car, it'll scratch shit out of it. Arm's all done. I'll put it on the car now. Alright, so they're the old springs there. The old McDonald Brothers upper control arms. And the United Speed Shop arms fitted. I've got the new springs which match the Afco shocks, which look pretty cool. I fitted the A9X arms. Also noticed that, where's that crack? Right there. Got a crack in the rotor. Got a pretty decent size one too. So I'm gonna have to buy new rotors again. Seems to be a common problem with these brakes that I've been having. Good for the street, not so good for the track. I think it's because the disc itself, I'm pretty sure they have like a slim disc version and a fatter disc version, and these just can't take the heat. I constantly suffer brake fade and stuff, so for now I'm just going to change the rotors. Thinking of maybe getting some Bayer brakes, but they're expensive, so I'll just figure that out when the time comes. I'm going to fit these wheels and we'll see how much lock it's got. Got to redo the bump stops on this. It's hitting on nothing this side. See, when it's right up in the air like this, it tends to hit the lower control arms, but I've notched them out. That wheel's not hitting anything. There you go. That's about the steering lock I get on the car now, which I've had for a while. I'll turn the wheel the other way. I've taken the front sway bar out because I think it's towing out at the moment, because normally that wheel rubs up there. I haven't given it a wheel limit yet. Let's wait till I get the motor in. But overall, that's about maximum lock I'll set the bump stops up for. That's hitting something back there. It's missing the lower control arm. Very tight. I found these wheels a lot better too. Like, obviously you can do burnouts and you can drift on front runners, but the more grip you have up the front, the more control you got. So you always find I'm going to have these on the front for power cruise. Like, normally I should have these on for burnouts too, but they look better, so I end up putting the front runners on. I don't know, I found they tend to slide around the pad more, which is sometimes good for doing 360s and shit, but then again you lose a lot of your steering. Whereas if you got decent tyres on the front, you can actually steer the car. So I don't run a rear sway bar, a front sway bar, sorry. I've got double adjustable shocks. I've got a hole drilled in the top of the control arm, so I can put a bolt in there and like this and limit the front suspension travel, which I'll just see how it is first, I suppose, driving it like that. But if the front end, I don't know, if it makes it really weird to drive, I'll limit the front suspension travel for power cruise. That's pretty much it. Could probably try and give some hints and tips on first time Mr. Drifters for power cruise is if you drift on low profile wheels, it's better, you have more control. The stiffer the car, the easier it is to drift. Say for example, if you have 18-inch wheels on the rear, low profile tyre, you're going to have a lot more control, say when you go out sideways. When you come back, you have a lot more control. If you got like a 15-inch wheel or a 16-inch wheel, when you go out sideways it's fine, and then when you come back you'll find the sidewall kind of launches you, which is fine. You just got to get used to it. It's just a different, it's not as easy, that's all. So that's a good tip that everyone can take home. And always make sure that when you drift a bend that you leave yourself enough room for error so that if you do spin out, you don't go on the grass and hit the wall. Because I made that mistake once, I'll never do it again. So when you get the thing out sideways, make sure, say you're on a bend, you're on the outer of the bend, not the inner, so that if you come around and you lose it, you're just going to spin out on the track and, you know, whatever, maybe lose an armband, whatever. If you're on the inner lane and you spin out, you literally end up spinning and then you hit the grass and then you hit the wall. So there's some hot tips. Yeah, so I've got a solid rear in the back of the car, anti-roll bar, so the back end is full stiff, no sway at all, and I've got no sway bar in the front. And that's just how I'm used to driving the car. There's many different ways you can set a car up and you can get used to driving it. I've just found a stiff rear end has just made it a lot easier to handle on, like, I don't know, just transitioning and that sort of thing, like going from left to right. Just more control over it. But it's just what you're used to, like, and how you start doing it, I suppose. Also, another thing with automatic transmissions, originally in this car I never had any engine braking, so I fitted some engine braking in the gearbox. It's only got engine braking in second and third, and first gear's got the trans brake. There's no engine braking, so essentially engine braking is like when you're in second gear and you back off, the car will, you know, pull up, sort of thing. That made a big difference too, like having control over the wheel speed. It makes a massive difference. It's kind of like similar to a manual transmission, like you have full control. So if you can get your automatic as close to a manual as possible, it makes it a lot easier. And obviously where a lot of people go wrong is they just go boom, 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 top gear, and the wheel speed's too high and the car is just going to want to do a donut. You can do that on the brake sometimes. Like sometimes you can sit on the brake, hold it out, it just stays there nice, and you can just go in top gear. But if you're going to do it without the brake, generally you got to use the wheel speed to try and control the car then. So you can do it with a brake or you can do it with a wheel speed. There's two different ways to do it, and the wheel speed way is cooler. Alright, I might wrap this video up, and I'll probably start on the rear quarter panel, but I'll do a separate video for that. So I'll finish this up, and yeah, thanks for watching.